Hi Math 7 students, happy Monday. I hope that you had an enjoyable weekend with your family at home. We're all trying to make the best of this, right? We've been playing lots of games at our house and taking walks and with our dogs and trying to enjoy the sunshine. Anyway, it's Monday and time to get back to work, so I'm going to give you your next lesson, and let's say a prayer. Father in heaven, we just thank you for your faithfulness and goodness to us. I pray that you would help all of my students now to focus and learn well, and that they would master all this material. And I pray that you would help me to be the very best teacher I can be as I explain everything, and that it all gets uploaded successfully and quickly, and that all my lessons get uploaded successfully and quickly today. Thank you that you're faithful. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so I'm going to go away, and you can look at the projector behind me. Now, today we are going to start lesson 9.1, which is a new chapter, and that's called percents. So our first lesson is going to be lesson 9.1, and that is percents and fractions. If you're not ready, you should be, getting a piece of paper, and I am going to make sure my projector is plugged in because we don't want it to shut off unexpectedly. Okay. There we go. Should be fine now. Okay, and we haven't taken the Chapter 8 test yet, but we will. So your other lesson today is going to be the chapter review for Lesson 8, but we'll talk about that more later. I don't know if you remember in class, it's been a while, but we usually do the new lesson first, and then if we play a game with the review or anything like that, then we always do that second. Oh, and by the way, there will be an update on the raffle at another time. All right, so here's lesson 9.1, and we are going to be writing fractions as a percent and backwards. So we want to do our first problem, which is write the percent as a fraction. Okay? So we're going to start with 37%. Now, most of you have had some experience with percent and fractions and decimals and all of those in 6th grade, maybe 5th grade also. So this should be somewhat of a review, but it's a very important thing to be able to work with percents. They're used in every facet of our lives, whether it's history or science or business or buying things at the grocery, which is a lot of what we do now. Percents are everywhere. They're on the television, they're used in statistics. It's very important to understand what that means and how to convert them. So percent means per 100. Cent, S-E-N-T, is a part of a word, a syllable, that actually means 100. So percent is a ratio out of 100. So it's very simple. All we do is we take away our percent sign and we put whatever number we have over 100. And then we reduce if we can. So there's 2 steps. Excuse me, little allergies here. Put the number over 100 and then reduce. Okay? Now I can't reduce that anymore, so that's done. We'll try one that's a little harder. This is actually very easy. I'm sure you'll be fine with this. 50%, that means 50 over 100. So I took away my percent sign and I put my number over 100. And now I can reduce that. And 50 out of 100 is 1/2. Okay. Let's go on to the next type of problem. Now remember, I've said this before. If you're a little behind, if you want to have a chance to think or look at something, feel free to use this video in whatever way is easiest for you. Pause it, rewind it, look at it when it's going to be helpful to you, even asking questions of others while you watch it. Okay, so here's the next set of directions. Write fractions as percent. Sorry, I'm running out of room to make it straight. I'm just going to erase that. All right, here's number 3. So I'm going to start with a fraction, and I want to change that to a percent. So here are my steps. Each type of problem is different. So I'm going to divide the denominator into the numerator to get a decimal. So that's the first step. The second step is to multiply the decimal by 100, or just move the decimal over 2 places to the right. And the third thing we do is add the percent symbol to our answer. Okay, now I write that kind of fast. I know it's hard to keep up with me at times. So like I said, pause if you need to. That's the beauty of the video. And write everything down. Okay. All right, so let's go through those steps. Step 1 says divide the denominator into the numerator. So I'm going to put 5 into 4 and see what I get. 5 doesn't go into 4, but it goes into 40. 5 times 8, and that's everything. So I have 0.8. Now step 2, multiply the decimal by 100, or just move the decimal to the right. So I'm going to do that 2 places. So now I have 80. I need a 0 to hold that place. And then I add my percent symbol. So 4/5 is actually 80%. All right, number 4. I might choose a different one. Let's try a different one. 5/6. So now we're going to write that as 6 divided into 5. And I'm going to do 6 into 50, which is 8. And I get 20. 6 goes into 20 3 times. Oh, this is going to repeat. And then I get another 3. And that's 18 with a 2 remainder. So it repeats like that. So now I have, actually it would be on the first one. So I have 0.83 with a line over it. And I'm going to multiply by 100, or I move the decimal over 2 places. So I end up with 83%. I can put a 0 after it if I like, with a bar over it. So my answer is that 5/6 is about 83%. Okay, I want you to try some on your own. So here we go. Write the fraction as a percent. Here's A, 7/10, and B, 1/50. And then the second thing I want you to do is write the percent as a fraction. All right, and here's A, 24%, and B, 55%. Okay, now it's time to pause the video and work those out on your own. I'll just wait for a moment and then I will continue on. All right. So go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to change colors. Let's see, what color do I want now? How about pink? All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to divide 10 into 7. And 10 doesn't go into 7, but it goes into 70 7 times. So I have 0.7. And then I move the decimal over 2, which equals 70. And I add my percent symbol. So there's my, answer. All right, 50 into 1. So 50 doesn't go into 1. Remember, when we're dividing, we always put our decimal up on top. 50 doesn't go into 10, so I have to put a 0 here to hold that place. And 50 goes into 100 twice. So be careful. Don't go fast with these. That would be really easy to just think, oh, I can look at it and know it's 0.2. But that would not be correct. So 0.02 is our answer, right? And then we are going to change that by moving the decimal over 2, and I get 2%. Now some of these, just looking at 7/10, many of you will know how to do that. Don't shortchange yourself. Show your work on your paper, especially on your test, because if you make a mistake, you want to know what you've been doing wrong. And if you're getting it right, you want to prove how you got it right. Okay, now we're going to write the percent as a fraction. So, I'm going to just take 24 and put that over 100 and take away the percent symbol and see if I can reduce that. Well, 2 goes into both. Can I reduce that anymore? Yes, 6 over 25. So you want to reduce it as far as you can. Okay, how about this one? I'm going to take 55 and put that over 100 and see if I can reduce that. What goes into 55 as well as 100? Well, 5 does, so I'm going to divide by 5, and I get 11 over 20. So check your work on that. All right, I'm going to go back to black. We're going to keep going. We have just a few more problems left. This should be number 5. Find the percent of a number. Okay? So we have, let me see, just one moment. Find 60% of 75. Okay, so here are our steps. First thing you're going to do is translate into math. The next thing you're going to do is take away the percent. Write the number. With a decimal. And number 4, multiply. Okay, those are very little steps all along the way. But I find that if students have everything written down, it leaves no question or much fewer questions about what to do. So I'm going to translate into math. So I'm going to take away the percent, and I'm going to change 60% to 60 over 100. 60 over 100, now I'm going to write that as a decimal. So first I'm going to reduce it. Well, you could do this a couple different ways. Let's just do it the way we were doing it before. Okay, dividing it out. So 100 doesn't go into 6 or 60, it goes into 600. So 6 times 100 is 600. So 60 out of 100 is 0.6. So I'm going to translate into math. So I'm going to take, let's see. I now know that my percent is 0.6. So I'm going to say 0.6 of 75. I'm switching this up a little. Now, of means a certain math function. So I'm going to take that out and I'm going to put multiply in. Of means multiply. So now I have this and I'm actually going to multiply. So I'm going to take 0.6 times 75. 6 times 5 is 30. Carry the 3 and I get 45 and I have one decimal place. So my answer is 45. 45 is 60% of 75. Okay, we're going to do the next one. And that is a tennis problem, a word problem in the book. I'm just going to read it out loud and we will write down what's important, just like we do in class. In March of 2005, so we have March of 2005, 14 out of the top 100 women's tennis players were from the United States. Were U.S. citizens. What percent were not from the United States? So there's the question. What percent were not from the U.S.? Okay. Well, the first thing we want to do is look at what we do have. So we have the total number is 100, and the U.S. players are 14. So what are not from the U.S.? Well, we would take 100 and subtract 14. And what do I get? 86. Now, I take what I want, this is desired, So I'm going to put the desired number out of the total, and it just so happens to be 100. So I have 86 out of 100. Now when I change that to a percent, that would be 86%. So the 86% of the top women's tennis players are not from the U.S. Okay, so 86%. All right, I'm going to give you one more of these, and then we'll do some OIOs on this. What if there were 300 players? And 50 of them were from the U.S. Well, let's work that out. All right. So if 50, we have 300 total players, and 50 are from the U.S., right? How do I find out how many, what percent, we didn't write that down, what percent are not from the U.S., okay? Well, if 50 are from the U.S., how many are not? Well, let's take 300 minus 50, and I get 250. Okay, so 250 are not from the U.S. So to get the percentage, I have the desired number over the total, right? So that's going to be 250 out of 300 this time. And I want a percent, so we go back to our steps from changing a fraction to a percent. So I'm going to take 300 and I'm going to divide that into 250. So let's see. 300 doesn't go into 2 or 25 or 250. It goes into 2,500 8 times. So I get 2,400 here. And I've got 100 left. And I'm going to bring down a 0. So how many times does 300 go into 1,000? 3. And 3 times 3 is 9, so that's 900. And I have 1,000 or 100 left over. I have to keep adding zeros. Oh, look, it's going to repeat. So if I put a 3 here, I get 900 again, and it continues on. Okay, so I've got 0.83 with a bar over it. We happen to do one like that already. And I take my decimal, and I'm going to move it over 2 places to the right, and I get 83%. Okay? All right, if that went kind of fast for you, please go back and watch it again. Pause wherever you need to, and if you're really stuck, you can always text me for some help. Okay, so here's some OIOs. I want you to find 70% of 900. And I want you to find this. During an election, somebody's having fun outside. They're talking. I think they're playing ping pong. 112 out of 200 students in 7th grade voted for Lupe to be class president. What percent did not vote for Lupe? Looks like they came inside. What? Sorry. It's okay. Okay, go ahead and do those 2 problems, and I'll come back in a minute. Please pause the video. Okay, 70% of 900. So that would be 70% of means multiply 900. So that means if I work out 70%, that's 0.70 times 900. And if you multiply that, you get 630. There you go. Okay. During an election, 112 out of 200 in 7th grade voted for Lupe. Okay, so 200 is our total number of students, and 112 voted for Lupe. So how would I find how many didn't vote for her? Well, I would subtract, right? So I get 88. All right, but that's not the question. The question is what percent did not vote for her. So I'm partway there, but I'm not finished yet. So I'm going to take 88 and I divide that out of 200. So I'm going to divide and get my decimal. So how many times does 200 go into 8? None. 88? None. Looking over. How about 880? Well, that's 4. Bye-bye. I have people in the house. Oh, and there's the dog, just to make sure we all know. All right. So when I subtract, I get 80, and I bring down a 0, and it's 0.44. So 0.44, what percent is that? Well, I move the decimal over 2 places and I get 44%. All right, that's it for lesson 9.1, and I will be sending an email with the homework home for you, and I hope you have a great night, and we'll be back in touch soon. Take care now. I miss you all.